welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to share this baby blanket tutorial with you. This is an advanced pattern that you can see has a lot of different detailed patterns throughout the blanket that I think you will really enjoy. There's actually 3 sections to this blanket. There's a panel on the right and the left, and then there's a center panel here that has this like lattice work look and design to it, little rufflies around the edge. I just really think it's a really nice pattern, and I am excited to share it with you. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about what materials you'll need for this beautiful pattern. I love it. Okay, so I'll tell you what I am using for this. I am using the Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo yarn. This is a medium weight 4 yarn. So if you don't want to use this, that's fine. You can use any medium weight 4 yarn. I really like the light gray. Let's see if you can see that. Yep, light gray color that this comes in. Gray seems to be a really popular pattern right now for baby blankets and baby items, and so I wanted to kind of join that bandwagon on the gray. So again, medium weight 4 yarn. I'm using the Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo in that light gray. You will also need a crochet hook 6mm or J, so that's what I'm using. And then of course, as usual, you'll always need a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle. So go ahead and grab your items, and then let's go ahead and get going on this beautiful pattern. Before we begin, I just want to explain how this pattern is set up. There's actually 3 panels for this baby blanket. There is a center panel, and there are 2 matching panels, one that goes on each side of that center panel that is seamed together once you've made all 3 panels. And then we have a border that goes all the way around. To start with, we're actually going to start with the center panel, and then we'll move on and make matching side panels. But let's go ahead and get started with that center panel. So to begin with, we actually need a foundation row that has 34 single crochets. Now I prefer to do a foundationless single crochet. If you're not sure how to do that, you can actually look at the video tutorial that I have. I put a link in the description box down below. Your other option, if you're not comfortable with doing a foundationless single crochet, is go ahead and chain 35, and then in the second chain from the hook, do a single crochet all the way across, making sure that you end up with 34 single crochets. So we're going to go ahead and do this and do our 34 single crochets for our foundation row. And when you finish that, come on back here and we'll take a look at row 2. Now you should have your row 1 with 34 single crochets. And we're going to go ahead and do row 2. So to begin, chain 1 and turn your work. And to start with, we're going to do 3 single crochets in the first 3 stitches. Chain 1. You're going to skip 1, and then you're going to do 2 single crochets. And then repeat. Chain 1, skip 1, 2 single crochets. Chain 1, skip 1, 2 single crochets. So you're going to do that chain 1, skip 1, 2 single crochets all the way to the end, and when you get to the end you should have 1 stitch left, and you're going to do a single crochet in that last stitch. So you'll start the row with 3 single crochets and end the row with 3 single crochets. So go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way across, and we'll meet back for row 3. We've finished row 2, and now you should have 10 of those chain 1 spaces all the way across the row. So let's go ahead and go to row 3. You're going to chain 1 and turn your work, and go ahead and single crochet in those first 3 stitches again. Once you do that, you should come to the chain 1 space. That's the first chain 1 space. Go ahead and do a single crochet in there. And now we're going to do something a little different. We are going to do a double crochet in this in this single crochet from the row before that we skipped. So you want to make sure you keep your yarn loose so that you're not scrunching up your project at all. And you're going to want to do a double crochet down here, and you want it in front of this stitch. So we're going to have to get this out of the way. So go ahead and yarn over and go into the top of the single crochet from the row before, and you're going to want to move the project to the back, right, so that you can get that second row out of the way. So you can see I've got my hook in the top of that single crochet from the previous row. So go ahead and yarn over and finish your double crochet. Again, not too tight. So you can see that's in front of the single crochet that we did up above. Okay, now we're going to skip over to the next chain 1 space. So you're skipping these 2 single crochets here, and you're going to do a double crochet again down in the row previous. Once again, that single crochet that we skipped in the previous row. So go ahead and yarn over and insert your hook in the top of that stitch. You're going to once again have to get that out of your way and move it to the back, and go ahead and do your double crochet. And if you look, you can see you're kind of getting a pattern going there with those double crochets. See that? And now to secure that, you want to go back into that chain 1 space that we were just doing the double crochet below. All right, so we're skipping the 2 single crochets behind this pair of double crochets, and into this chain 1 space we're going to put another single crochet. So let's go ahead and do that. Don't worry, we'll do all this again, and then single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Just normal single crochets this time. All right, let's do that again. So we're back to the next chain 1 space. So go ahead and do a single crochet in that chain 1 space. Now below it, you've got that single crochet that we skipped from the previous round. That's where we're going to do our double crochet. So go ahead, and we're going to do it in front. So move that project back to get it away, out of the way, so you can finish your double crochet. Okay, you're going to skip those 2 single crochets and find the next chain 2 space. Chain 1 space right here. Here's the single crochet underneath that we skipped. So you're going to go ahead and do your double crochet down here. Remember, move that row to the back so you can make sure that double crochet is in front. You've created another one of those upside down V patterns, right? And then in that same place where we have this chain 1 space, you're going to do a single crochet, and then single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Okay, so you want to do that all the way across, and then when you get to the end, again, end with those you'll have 1 stitch left and put another single crochet there, so you'll have 3 single crochets at the end, just like you did at the beginning. Go ahead and finish that off, and we'll meet back here at the end. Okay, we're at the end of row 3. You have your 3 single crochets at the end there that you did, and you can see this pattern starting to emerge with those double crochets. You should now have 5 of those patterns that we did with the double crochet across your project. So we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn our work, and row 4 is really easy. You're just going to go ahead and do single crochets all the way across your work. Across all of those stitches, you should end up with 34 single crochets, just like we started with. And that's what we're gonna do with all wrong side rows. So this is the wrong side of your work. Every time we have a wrong side, we're gonna have the 34 single crochets all the way across. So go ahead and put your 34 single crochets in, and we'll meet back and talk about what row 5 looks like. At this point, you should have 34 single crochets all the way across for row 4. So we'll go ahead and move on to row 5. So go ahead and chain 1 and turn your work. And as usual, we're going to do 3 single crochets in the first 3 stitches. 2, 3. And now we're going to work on finishing this, the start of this little diamond pattern here that we've got. So we're going to go ahead and do a front post triple crochet, but we're going to use these double crochets here that we did down below as our post that we're going to do the front post triple crochets around. So go ahead and yarn over twice. We're going to skip the first post from the right side, the right double crochet, and we're gonna front post triple crochet around this second one. So go ahead and use that as your post and do that triple crochet. Again, you're going down below a bit, so make sure your yarn isn't too tight. Okay, now we're going to skip this single crochet, and we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So that's a little bit behind there, right? So there's the one you're going to skip, and let's do 1, 2 stitches. Now we're going to do a front post triple crochet using the right double crochet as our post there, and you're going to do it in front of this one that we just did. So go ahead and yarn over twice for your front post triple crochet. You're going to go around the post of that double crochet down below, okay, and then finish your triple crochet. Okay, so there you can see you've got that little diamond pattern starting. We are once again going to skip the next single crochet and 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches. Let's just take a look at what that looks like right now. You can see you've got the pattern kind of starting there. And that will be how that diamond pattern plays out for the rest of this section, this panel here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is repeat that all the way across. So let's go ahead and do that again so that we can have another go at that. So again, you're going to start with the left post first, and you're going to do a front post triple crochet around that post. You're going to skip the next single crochet here and do a single crochet behind in those next 2 stitches. Okay. Then we want to do another front post triple crochet using the right double crochet from down below. Trying not to make it too tight. Okay. You're going to skip that next single crochet and instead do 2 single crochets after that. All right, so you can really see that pattern starting to come together. Go ahead and repeat that for the rest of the row. We'll meet here at the end for the next row. So once we repeat that and get to the end, you should have your 1 stitch left. That will be a single crochet so that you're ending once again with 3 single crochets. Go ahead and chain 1 and turn, and now we're on a wrong side row again. So as we said earlier, all wrong side rows are going to be single crochet rows. So go ahead and single crochet all the way across, and you should end with 34 single crochets. Go ahead and do that, and we'll meet back at the end of row 6. Once again, you should have 34 single crochets all the way across for row 6. So we'll go ahead and move on to row 7. You're going to chain 1 and turn your work. And this time we're going to start with 2 single crochets in those first 2 stitches instead of 3. Now we want to do a front post double crochet around the post from the previous row. So go ahead and do your front post double crochet. I can't say this enough, make sure you're keeping your stitches loose enough that you're not bending this project in half. Okay, and now we want to skip 2 stitches, if you can see those behind there. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, you want to just skip 1 stitch. So you're in here, you want to skip this stitch, and then starting here, you want to put in 4 single crochets. Okay, so you're single crocheting all in the middle there. And then you want to do a front post double crochet around the next post from below. Okay. Now you want to go right into doing a front post double crochet on your next post. This is where, I know I sound like a broken record again, but this is where it's important that you're making sure you're keeping your stitches loose again. Okay, now you have a stitch here. You want to skip 2 stitches, and you want to do those 4 single crochet again in the next 4 stitches. Okay, and here's where we're getting into the repeat. So double crochet around the next post from below. All right, another front post double crochet on the next side. You're going to skip those 2 stitches and do 4 single crochets in the next 4 stitches. So skip those 2, do 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, repeat that until the end of the row. Front post double crochet, front post double crochet, your skip 2, do 4 single crochet, and repeat all the way till you get to the end of the row. Go ahead then and do on your wrong side, do your 34 single crochets, and then we'll meet back here to talk about the next row. Before we go on to the single crochets on the wrong side, I did just want to clarify what to do at the end of that row 7. So here we just finished doing those 4 single crochets across, and this is going to be our final front post double crochet. Then you're actually just going to single crochet into the last 2 stitches there. Sorry, I forgot to mention that earlier. And now we can go ahead and turn and do the 34 single crochets on the wrong side here all the way across, and we'll meet back for row 9. Now we're ready to start row 9. I went ahead and did a chain 1 and turn my work. So we're on the right side now, And I'm going to start with 3 single crochets in the first 3 stitches. I should say 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. We're going to do a front post double crochet around this first post from the row before. We are going to skip the next stitch and do a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Okay, now we're going to do a front post triple crochet. We're going to skip this post and do a front post triple crochet into this one on the left. Don't worry, we'll come back and get that one. So front post triple crochet. Okay, then you're going to skip the next stitch and do a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Now you're going to do a front post triple crochet to go back and pick up this one. You want it on top of the one we just did. So front post triple crochet, go ahead and do it on top of the one we just did and complete that stitch. All right. Once again, you're going to skip the next stitch and do a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And basically you are going to repeat that. So triple crochet, front post triple crochet in the post to the left, skip a stitch and do 2 single crochets, front post triple crochet on the post that we skipped in front of the one we just did. Okay, skip the next stitch, do a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And you're just going to repeat this until you get to the end of the row. When we get to the end here, I'll tell you what to do next. We are at the end of row 9 now. I went ahead and did the single crochets in the 2 stitches here. We have this last post to address, and similar to where we started, we're going to do a front post double crochet around that one. Okay. We are going to skip the next stitch again and just do single crochets in the last 3 stitches. So this row starts and ends exactly the same. Okay, so that's what your row 9 should look like. Go ahead and turn your work and do your single crochets all the way across, because that will be our wrong side row. You should have 34 single crochets on the wrong side. So go ahead and finish that up. We'll come back and talk about row 11. Now we're going to start row 11. I went ahead and did a chain 1 to turn my work, and we'll start with a single crochet in the next 4 stitches. There's 3 and there's 4. Now what we're going to do is a front post double crochet in the post from the row before. And we'll do a front post double crochet in the next post from the row before. You're going to skip the next stitch. We're actually going to skip the next 2 stitches, sorry. And then you will single crochet again in the next 4 stitches. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and we're going to repeat. You're going to do a front post double crochet in the post from the row before and in the next post from the row before. We're going to skip 2 stitches and we're going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So you'll do that pattern. As you can see, we have our first diamond pattern here. I should say our first complete diamond pattern. Go ahead and repeat that until you get to the end of the row. I'll show you how to close out that row and what to do next. So I just did my last front post double crochet there. I am going to then put my 4 single crochets in these last 4 stitches of the row here, and that will complete row 11. Okay, so those are rows 1 through 11. What we're going to do now is we're going to repeat rows 4 through 11 until you get to about 32 inches or 81 centimeters for this section, this center panel here. So you want to go ahead and repeat that as many times as you need to get to that length. And you'll want to make sure that you're ending with a wrong side row. And remember, your wrong side rows are all just the single crochet, 34 of them. Every time you get to the wrong side, you're going to do the 34 single crochets. So go ahead and repeat that as many times as you need to get to that measurement, and make sure you end on that wrong side. We'll meet back here. You're going to go ahead and fasten that off, but we'll meet back here at the end just to finish the center panel out, and then we'll talk about what to do next. I went ahead and completed all the rows necessary for this center panel section here, and just as a reminder, we finished off on the wrong side. Now at this point, you can fasten off and weave in your ends. I'm actually going to leave this and leave it attached to my ball of yarn and start a new ball of yarn for the side patterns, the side panels. The reason I'm going to do that is because I do have to use some yarn to stitch the sides together. So I like the fact that it's already attached here, and I'm just going to go ahead and do my seaming at the end using the yarn that's already attached. You don't have to do that. You can go ahead and fasten off if you want to, but I'm going to put that aside with the yarn attached, and I'm going to start a new ball of yarn for the side panels. So for your side panels, you need to go ahead and chain 39, and then go ahead and start a single crochet in the second chain from the hook and all the way across. That will give you 38 single crochets when you're done doing that. Of course, I went ahead and did mine with a foundation single crochet and just went ahead and did 38 single crochets. So go ahead, take a minute and get your first side panel set up with your 38 single crochets, and then come on back and we'll talk about row 2. At this point you should have your 38 single crochet for row 1, and we are going to go ahead and start row 2. So chain 1 and turn your work, and we'll actually go through the entire row because there's some differences across the whole row and I want to make sure it's really clear. So the first thing we're going to do is put a single crochet in the first 2 stitches. So go ahead and do 1 and 2. Then you're going to chain 4, and then you're going to skip 4 down here and put a single crochet in the next stitch. And do that again, chain 4, skip 4, and put a single crochet in the next stitch. This time, chain 2, skip 2, and put a single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 more. So there's 3 total single crochets this time. So we did chain 2, skip 2, 3 single crochets. Now we will chain 4, skip 4, and 3 single crochets. So you'll see we're at the middle here, and we're going to do the reverse of what we just did on the rest of this. So this is your middle, and now you're going to do the reverse of this to go back. So we just did the 3 single crochets. Now we're going to chain 2, skip 2, and do a single crochet. We're going to chain 4, skip 4, single crochet, and then we're going to chain 4 one more time, and 2 single crochets in the end. You've skipped 4, and then you should have 2 stitches left where you're going to do your 2 single crochets. So just so we can take a look at that for a minute, you have these 2 chain 4 spaces at each end. You have the chain 2 spaces here and a chain 4 space in the middle. Each side of that has these 3 single crochets. Okay, so that is row 2. Let's go ahead and go on to to row 3. So chain 1 and turn. Now for for row 3, it's going to get just a little tricky here. We're going to work in both the row 1 down below where you have chain spaces, and we're also going to work in row 2 where you have these single crochets. So we're going to kind of go back and forth between stitching in row 1 and stitching in row 2. But we'll go through the whole row just so you can see. In addition to that, we're going to start some cable pattern here, so you'll see a little bit of that start to emerge. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and chain 2 at the beginning. 2 single crochet, not chain 2. So 1 and 2. Okay, and now we're going to work in row 1, but in front of this chain. So you're going to have to kind of get that out of your way a little bit. So to start our first cabling pattern, we want to skip the first 2 stitches out of row 1. You can see you had 2 single crochets there. We're going to skip that. And instead, in these last 2, we're going to do double crochets. So a double crochet here and a double crochet here. Move that to the back so that you can get those double crochets in there. So there's 1. I actually even fold it back there a bit. There's 1, and then a double crochet in the next one. Now, you know we skipped these 2 here. We're going to go back and get those now. We're going to work in front of these and go back and put double crochets in those 2 that we skipped. So move stuff out of the way so you can find them. Here's 1 and here's 2. So let's go into that first one. We'll do a double crochet again in front of the ones that you just made. Now you're going to need to get things out of the way. See that? There's 1. Okay. And now there's the second stitch there that we skipped. You want to put a double crochet there. Again, just get things out of your way. There you go. Okay. So they kind of cross over one another, right? And that's exactly what you want. Now, in this, back up to row 2, in that single crochet that you had there, you're going to put a single crochet. So we're back up to row 2. Okay. In this next chain 4 space, we're going to do something similar. We're going to work down in row 1 again, skip the first 2, do a double crochet in the last 2. So let's do that first. There's 1. And here's the second one. Okay. Now we want to go back and get these 2 that we missed, but this time we want to work from behind. So you're really going to need to get things out of your way to do that. We still want to come at it like a normal double crochet in front, but you want to get to it from behind. So we're going to yarn over, we're going to move this out of our way. Now you can see there are those 2 stitches that we missed. We're going to, yep, there it is. Just want to make sure we're getting there. We're going to come in from the front of the first one. There's that. All right. Yarn over. Here we go. So I've got the chain out of the way in the back, and I've got those other 2 double crochets out of the way moving in front. And here's the other skipped stitch. We're going to do a double crochet there too. There it is. And finish your double crochet. Okay, similar crossing pattern. This one's just behind where this one was in front. Okay, bring that row 2 back up, and you're going to do a single crochet in that single crochet in row 2. Now you've got a chain 2 space here. We're just going to put 2 double crochets, but down in row 1. So move the chain out of the way, put your double crochets down here. There's 1. There's 2. Okay, now you've gotten to the point where we had those 3 single crochets in row 2. Go ahead and do 3 single crochets in those 3 stitches. Okay, so we'll do 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now we're in the chain 4 space that's in the middle of this panel. That's that chain 4 space in the middle. So we are going to do a double crochet in the first stitch here in row 1, right there. Still working in row 1, we're going to skip the next stitch, but in that 3rd stitch we're going to do a triple crochet. This is actually going to count as a post stitch for later when we start using that. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go back to the stitch that we skipped in between the double crochet and the triple crochet, and you're going to do another triple crochet in front of this one. So go ahead and do your triple crochet, find that skipped stitch that we had, and go ahead and go into that. Move that triple crochet out of the way to the back so you can get around. There it is. And then finish your triple crochet. Oops. Okay. And then in that last stitch in row 1 where that chain 4 space is, you're going to do a double crochet. So we have a double, a triple cross, and a double. So let's just take a look at that section there. That's where that is. You've got a double. There are your triple crochets that are crossed in front of each other, and then the double in that section. Okay, the next thing that we get to, now we're on our way back to the other side. We've got those 3 single crochets again. Go ahead and put in 3 single crochets on row 2. Okay, now we're to the next chain 2 space. Go ahead and put double crochets in both of those. This is it working in row 1 in front of that chain 2. Okay. Okay, and now we're back to the chain, the single crochet up on row 2. Go ahead and put a single crochet in there. Now we're back to that chain 4 space. We're going to do the same thing that we did back at the beginning. So we're going to skip 2 in row 1, skip those first 2, and in these last 2 we're going to put double crochets and moving that chain to the back, just like we did before. So here's our first double crochet. All right, in that second one, do a double crochet. Now we have to go back and get the ones that we missed here. We're going to work in front, so do a double crochet in each of those, working in front. All right, you should be a pro at this now. There's the first one. Move things to the back. Finish your double crochet. There's the one left that we missed. Move things to the back. Oh, get back out of the way. The post wants to stick in the way. You just have to move things out. There it is. Just a normal double crochet, and you can see they've crossed. Back to that single crochet up in row 2, put a single crochet there like we did before. And now we're to our next and last chain 4 space. We're going to do the same thing. Working in row 1, skip those first 2, put a double crochet in each of those last 2. And now you want to go back to the ones that we skipped, but once again we're going to work from behind. So here are the 2 that we want to put double crochets in, but we're going to do it behind. So yarn over, move your work out of the way. That gets a little tricky, but you can do it. There it is. So there is the first one. Oops. I included a one that I didn't want to. Okay, there's one. All right, and now we want to get that next one right there. Yarn over and do your double crochet. There you go. Just like before, you can see they're crossed. Make sure you bring that back up so that you're working in the right spot. Now we have our 2 single crochets left at the end. Go ahead and put 2 single crochets. This is now row 2. Okay. Let's just take a look at it. And you can see where some of them are from down below and they're starting to create that pattern. Here's our cross pattern, right? And that pattern again for the cabling, working in both rows. That's what you should have. Now we're going to go on to row 4, and similar to the center panel, all wrong side rows are going to be single crochets. Like I said, just like we did in the center panel. So chain 1 and turn, and then you want to go all the way across these and put a single crochet all across this row. Now what you want to make sure that you do when you do this is put the single crochet in the tops of these all these stitches that we made. I know you've got these chain 4 in the back. You don't want to do anything with those. Just leave those here and make sure what you're doing when you put these single crochets in is just putting them in the tops of these stitches and the post stitches that you made. So if you get confused at all, turn your work up and make sure you're following that line. So go ahead and put a single crochet all the way across, and then I'll meet you back here for row 5. At this point, you should have 38 single crochets all the way across for row 4. So let's move on to row 5 with a chain and turn. Now, row 5 is a little tricky. Stick with me and I know you'll be able to get it. So let's do a single crochet in the first 2 stitches. Now the next thing we're going to do is some front post double crochets, and we're going to do them around the cross stitches that we did down in the row before. So you just need to find those. There's the two that are underneath, and then here are the two in front. So we want to do front post doubles around each of those. There's the first one from behind. There's another one there. And do your second one. These two on top should be a little bit easier. There is 3, and there is, oops, 4. So you have your front post doubles across there. Now you're going to skip these 4 from here. These will count as those stitches. So you're going to single crochet in the next stitch. And now we're going to do that again. Here's that next set of crossed post stitches from down below. So do that again. Here's 1, 2, and then you'll have to kind of pull these out so you can see them. There are the next 2. Here's 3, and the last one. And you did 4 there as well. Okay, you're going to skip those stitches behind, and you're going to do a single crochet in the next stitch. Now the next ones that we have are these 2 stitches, double crochet stitches that we had down below. And we're going to do front post double crochets around those 2 as well. So go ahead and do those front posts. You're going to skip those 2 from behind and do a single crochet. Okay. Now, if you look across here and remember, here are the post stitches that we made 2 rows ago, right? So we had the double, the 2 triples that cross over each other, and the double down below. We're going to go work in those now. It's going to seem like a little bit of a stretch from over here, but just keep things loose and you'll be fine. You're going to do a front post double crochet over the first 2, so that double crochet, here's the triple crochet that was behind. You're going to do a front post double crochet around that triple crochet that's in the back. Now these count as those first 2 stitches, so skip 2 stitches that are behind there, and you're going to do 4 single crochets back up in row for row 5 here. 2, 3, 4. And now we still have those 2 left, right? So there is the other side of the cross, that's that triple crochet and that double crochet. You're going to do front posts double crochets for both of those. There's the first one, and there's the double. Do the second one. Okay, and then so those are those 2. You can skip that, and now we're going to do a single crochet. Okay, now you're back to those 2 double crochets down below. We're going to do front post double crochets around those 2. There's 1, there's 2. Okay, so you're skipping these 2 up here, and you're going to do a single crochet in the next one. Okay, and now you're back to this cross pattern with the excuse me, the double crochets that we made before. So here are the 2 that are behind, here are the 2 that are in front. We're going to want to do front post double crochets in all of those. So there's 1, there's 2 for the ones that are in back. Here is 3 and 4 for the 2 that are in front. Okay, so you skip those 4 stitches there and put a single crochet in the next one. And just like how we started out, there are those 4 again. 1, 2 here, and the 2 underneath there. We're going to do those front post double crochets there as well. So go ahead and put those in. There's 1. There's 2. The 2 in the back. You want to do, might have to get them out of there a little bit. That's okay. There's 1. There's 2. Oops, finish that up. So there's those 4. And then you're going to single crochet in the last 2 stitches, just like we started out, because you're skipping those 4 from behind. So 1 and 2. Okay? So there is your row 5. So for row 6, just with all wrong side rows, you're going to go ahead and put chain 1 and turn and do 38 single crochets all the way across. And when you finish that, come back here and we will talk about row 7. Once again, you should have 38 single crochets all the way across for row 6. So let's go ahead and take a look at row 7. So chain 1 and turn like normal, and we're going to start with a single crochet in the first 2 stitches. Okay, now we're back to these 4 post stitches again, and we're going to do front post double crochets. We're going to skip these 2, the first 2, and we're going to front post double crochet into the 3rd and 4th one over there. So go over to the 3rd one and do a front post double crochet and a 4th one for your front post double crochet. Now we're going to go back and do that of the stitches that we skipped, and we're going to do that right in front of this. So just go right over in front and get that first post and do a front post double crochet, and then there's that second one. You might need to open that up so that you can find it, and there's your second one. So front post double crochet there, and you can see those will be crossing over then. Okay, so you're skipping those 4 stitches in the back, and you will go ahead and do a single crochet. Okay, we have those 4 post stitches again. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to skip over to these, the 3rd and 4th post, and do a front post double crochet there. Oops, got caught on something there. Let me do that one again. Ah, there it is. Okay, we're going to go back and get these 2 that we skipped again, but this time we're going to work in the back. So you're going to need to get the 2 that we just made out of the way. So yarn over, get those 2 out of the way. You're going to work down here. Okay, get that there. You're going to want to find where those first 2 posts are. Do you see those right there? And you're going to want to work behind here and go and get those those posts. So yarn over, go on down here and find them. You want to make sure you're getting in the right one. Okay, you're going to have to move things out of the way. There's the first one. Kind of hard to find. From the back anyway. Alright, there's one. Now that you've done that, it's a little bit easier. There's your second one right here. So do front post double crochet around the second one. Go back and check. There, those are those 2, and there's where we continued that. So those cross as well, but in a little different direction. Okay, we're going to skip those 4 again, and now we're going to, here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to single crochet back up on the top, and you can see those cross over. Now we come to the 2 posts. We're going to continue that all the way up this panel, you'll see. So every time you see this, you're going to have that single crochet, the 2 front post double crochets, and a single crochet. So let's go ahead and do that as we continue that line there. And now this time you're going to do 3 single crochets. Okay, so there's that one that we normally do. Add 2 more. Okay, and you'll see it's right over where those posts are from the couple of rows before. Now, what we want to do here is we want to go ahead and do a front post double crochet around this first one right here. So go ahead and do your front post double crochet. And now you're going to skip this second one, and around this third one, way over here, you're going to do a front post triple crochet. All right, so go ahead and go on over there and get that. Again, well, throughout this whole pattern, just make sure you don't have your stitches too tight. Okay, now that you've done that, we're going to put a front post triple crochet around this one that we skipped, and we're going to do it in front. So in front of this, go on over and do your front post triple crochet. And now this last one that have left here of the 4, we're going to do right here, a front post double crochet to close out that little section there. All right, so let's just take a look at that. Front post double crochet, skip 1, front post triple, come back over here in front, front post triple, and back over to here, the front post double crochet. And now we're going to skip the 4 stitches that we just made, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then starting in this one here, you're going to do 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3. We're back to our pattern here of the front post double crochet, so do 2 of those. Again, this is that same thing where you'll have this go all the way up the pattern, this panel. And you'll do your single crochet. And now we're back to that same pattern from the beginning of the row. We've got these 4 posts here. We'll skip the first 2 and do front post double crochets in the 3rd and 4th. So here's 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th. Now we have to go back and get the ones that we skipped, and we're going to work in front. So 2 front post double crochets working from the front. Here's the first one. Okay, go find that second one right there. Okay, and we're skipping, obviously, again, those 4 stitches that we did the front post double crochets in there. Oops, 1, 2, 3. And you're going to go ahead and do a single crochet. Okay, and now, oh, I did that one too far over, sorry. This one. Okay, and now you've got the next set of 4 there. You're going to skip the first 2 posts and do front post double crochets in the 3rd and 4th. We're going to go back and work these 2 that we skipped here, and like we did at the beginning of the row, we're going to work behind these stitches. So yarn over, you have to go find these 2 from behind. Okay, so just move those out of the way like we did the first time. Okay, so front post double in the first one there. There it is. Okay, and now we have to get the second one. There it is. And a front post double. Gotta get that out of the way. Front post double there. Okay. So you've got that crossed look again. We're skipping those, and then we're just going to single crochet in the last 2 stitches, just like how we started this row. Okay. So just so that you can see that. And now, like normal for wrong side rows, you're going to go ahead, chain 1 and turn, and then do your 38 single crochet all the way across. And from here, we're actually going to repeat rows 4 through 7 until this panel measures 32 inches or 81 centimeters, just like you did for the center panel. And when you want to make sure you end with a wrong side. So of course you're going to end doing your 38 single crochets on your wrong side. And we'll need to do 2 of these panels. So just to recap, we're going to repeat rows 4 through 7 until you get to 32 inches or 81 centimeters, making sure you end on the wrong side, and then make another one of these panels. So you should have the center panel and you should have 2 of these. And when you have all those complete, come back and we'll seam these 3 pieces together, and then we'll start a border around the blanket. Okay, so now you should have the center panel that we started with, and then 2 of the panels that go on either side, the left and the right. And what we're going to do now is focus on seaming those together. So there's a couple ways that you can do this. Sorry for the shaky video there. All right, there's a couple ways that you can do this. One is you can seam them together with a whip stitch or a mattress stitch or something like that if you prefer. I'm actually going to do it with a single crochet, and I'll show you how and why. I'm going to take these pieces and put them wrong side together. So you're going to have the right side on one side and the right side on the other. So see, the wrong sides are facing together. I'm going to do it that way, and I'm going to use the single crochet because it's going to leave a nice little stitch down that section of the pattern. And so it'll just be like one more little pattern going down the blanket, and I think it looks really nice. So I'll show you what I'm going to do here. These are this is one of the side panels, and this is the center panel, and I'm putting them, like I said, wrong side together. Remember, I mentioned when we did the center panel that I left the yarn attached because we are going to seam them, and this is actually attached to my yarn, a whole ball of it. And I left it there just so it was already there and we didn't have to join stitches and that type of thing. Let me get that out of the way here. It's stuck a little bit. So that's why I still have that on there. So what we're going to do is put those wrong sides together, and you're going to want to line them up. Now, one thing I'll show you in lining these up, if you see here, you can see there's like rows. So these are 2 stitches, 2 stitches, 2 stitches. Can you see those rows there? And there's even a little bump at the side where you did the single crochet turning, or the single chain turning chain there. So you can see them here, here, here. There is over here too. You can see them here, 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 right? That's what you're going to line up. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do 2 in every one of those. So I'll do a single crochet here, and I'll do a single crochet here, and I'll go to this next group, and I'll do a single crochet here, and I'll do a single crochet here, etc., all the way down the row. And I'm going to do this through both sides. So when you're finished, you'll have that single crochet on top of the row here. Okay, so I have the middle section in the back with the yarn still attached, and I'm going to go through, I'm going to move up a little closer here. I'm going to go through the top stitch here, and then I'm going to go into the yarn that is there. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So I'm in the top stitch and I'm in the yarn, and I am just going to make a single crochet. Okay. So that I kind of just joined it there. Now, if you can see, you want to line up all those bumps. Do you see lining up those bumps like that? And I'm going to do 2 for each. Got to get the tails out of the way. All right, so I did the 1 to join at the top. I'm going to do another one right there. Okay. Now I'm going to do, you see here, I'm going to do 1 here and 1 there. So I'm going to do 1 here, and I'm also going to go through, see that right there, that little hole? I'm going to go through the top there, and I'm going to do a single crochet. There's the next one I'm going to do there. And then on the back side, oops, if you look through, there'll be one right there. Sorry, I want to keep these lined up nicely. Okay. Here's the next group of 2. So I'm going to go through the top here first, right through there. And go through both. And do your single crochet. Okay. And then I'll go through the next little section of that there. And through both sides, just like that, and do my single crochet. Okay, just make sure as you're going along that you're keeping those rows lined up with the one behind it. Okay, I'll do another one here and here. Okay, another one here and through here. Okay, so what you can see here, as I'm doing this, if you were to open that up, you'll have a nice little single crochet stitch that goes down the center there. It just kind of adds to all these other patterns and stitches that you have. So go ahead and seam your piece on both sides. You want to have one of these side panels on each side of the center panel. So go ahead and stitch those up. If you don't like the single crochet look, that's fine. Do a whip stitch, mattress stitch, however you'd like to do that to seam those pieces together. And once you have those 2 pieces seamed on, let's come back here and we'll talk about putting a border around the whole piece. Now I have all the panels seamed together. You can see the left and the right and the center panels. And then right here is that single crochet that makes a nice little ridge on top, as opposed to just doing a whip stitch or a mattress stitch that would not have a seam there. This is an intentional seam that just adds to all the different patterns that we have across here. So now that we have those all together, what we're going to do is start our border. And to do that, we're going to join our yarn in any corner. I'm actually going to start in this top right corner over here. And I'm going to join my yarn in the corner. And what we're doing here on this first round is just putting single crochets all the way around the blanket. So the most important thing here is to make sure that when we get to the corners, that we have 3 single crochets in every corner. So I went ahead and joined my yarn in the corner, and I'm going to chain 1 first. And since we're in a corner, I'm going to do 3 single crochets in this first corner. Okay, and now I'm just going to do single crochets, like I said, all the way across. So it's pretty easy to determine where to put them when you're on the top or the bottom. The sides, you'll just want to space them evenly. I'm going to do them 2 in every one of those sections like we did for joining the panels. You can still see them over here on the right and left side. So I'm just going to do it where I put 2 in every one of those. And then once you get all the way around, you're going to join it at the top of the stitch over here, but go ahead and do your single crochets all the way around. I'll meet you back over here on the other side, and don't forget to put 3 single crochets in every corner. Okay, so we finished putting the single crochets all the way around the afghan. And we're back to where we started here. This is where we initially put those 3 single crochets in the corner. So we're just going to slip stitch into that to finish out this row. And now for row 2, we are going to chain 1, and then we're going to turn so that we're actually working the wrong side of the afghan now. And now what we're going to do is start with a single crochet in that very next stitch, chain 1, skip the next single crochet, and in the next single crochet do a single crochet. That's a lot of single crochets. So chain 1, skip 1, single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet. And you're going to do this until you get to the corner again. When you get to the corner, you want to do this right up to the point where you put the 3 single crochets. So remember, every corner we put 3 single crochets in there. Let's take a look. There's the corner with the 3 single crochets. So do this until you get to this middle one here, the middle of the 3. You want to put 3 single crochets in that middle again. We want to keep doing that to make sure that we can keep that corner going. So do your single crochet, skip 1, chain 1, right? Do that all the way up to here, and when you get to this middle one, put 3 single crochets in the middle, and then continue that pattern. Do that all the way around with those 3 single crochets in every corner, and then we'll meet back here when we've gotten all the way back around. We'll talk about the next row. Okay, we have finished row 2 that had all our skipped stitches in there and 3 single crochets in the corner, and we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the first stitch from that round to finish that off. So go ahead and chain 1 and turn, and now you have your 3 single crochets in the corner. You want to make sure you do a single crochet in the first one, 3 single crochets in the corner one, because we want to keep that going, and a single crochet in the next one. All right. Now for row 3, every time you have a single crochet, you're going to put a single crochet there. But where you have these skipped stitches, you're going to do what's called a long single crochet. So we're going to single crochet, but down in the row below in that space that you skipped, right? So here's the one you skipped from below. We're actually going to go down to that stitch, and you're going to yarn over like you're doing a single crochet, but when you pull up, you want to pull it up to the level of row 3 so that it matches the level of row 3, and go ahead and do your single crochet. And then we have a single crochet here, go ahead and do a single crochet in there. Here's that next skip stitch. You're going to go down to the row below, bring this up to the right level, and complete your single crochet. And you're going to do that all the way across every time that you see that skip stitch. I'm just going to do a couple more, and then I'll show you here what that looks like. Okay, so you can see on here you have a long stitch here, a short one, a long, a short. That's what that is. You can see that on both sides, long, short, long, short. So go ahead and do the single crochet and the long single crochet all the way around, making sure you're always doing 3 single crochets in the corner stitch, and then we'll meet you back at the beginning and talk about next steps. Okay, row 3 is done, and you can see the long single crochet pattern that comes through on that. We are going to go ahead and do a slip stitch to join in the first stitch of that round. And now what we're going to do is we're going to repeat rows 2 and 3 2 more times. So that will mean rows 4, 5, 6, and 7. So go ahead and do your repeat of row 2, which is the single crochet, chain 1, skip 1 all the way around with 3 single crochets in the corner, and then repeat row 3, which is what we just did with the long single crochet and the single crochet. Do that 2 more times, and we'll meet back here at the end and finish up. Okay, that is it. We have finished. There are all our border rows. I just went ahead and did a slip stitch into the first one there. I'll go ahead and weave in any of these ends, and this blanket is complete. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you would please take a minute to like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. It would really help out my channel. And as usual, if you have any questions or have any suggestions for future videos, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks, everyone.